cold open. The clock on the wall says Monday, June 8, 2026, but every security operations center in town can already hear Tuesday breathing through the keyhole. Patch Tuesday is due tomorrow, June 9, and the slab is waiting under a white sheet. Microsoft has not rolled the bodies in yet, Adobe has not pinned the toe tags, but the orderlies are awake, the coffee is black, and every sysadmin with a domain to protect knows the routine. The month comes due, and the bill is always written in CVE numbers. Tonight the coroner's room is quieter than usual, not peaceful, just premature. The official Microsoft Security Update Guide has not opened its file for June 2026. Adobe's security bulletins have not named their dead. That means there are no verified June 2026 CVE counts, no confirmed severity split, no known zero-day list, no CVSS scores fit to read over the air. A careless man would invent the evidence. I am not that man. So we work the scene before the bodies arrive, catalog the instruments, prepare the tables, and tell every defender where to stand when the wagon backs up to the door. The body count, as of this hour, the official body count for June 2026 is still unknown. Microsoft has not published the total number of vulnerabilities for this cycle. The severity breakdown is not yet public. Critical, important, moderate, and low remain blank spaces on the coroner's form. Adobe is in the same cold room. No confirmed June 2026 bulletin list, no final product roster, no verified CVE tally, no public statement of active exploitation for this month's release. That absence is not comfort, it is only silence before testimony. Recent Patch Tuesday cycles have often brought dozens to more than 100 Microsoft CVEs, with the usual wounds spread across Windows, Office, SharePoint, SQL Server, Edge, Hyper-V, Active Directory, and the long, dark alleys of the Windows kernel. The common causes of death are familiar. Remote code execution, elevation of privilege, information disclosure, denial of service, spoofing, security feature bypass, and tampering. Some months the knife is a network-reachable RCE. Some months it is a local privilege escalation tucked into an exploit chain like a second gun in an ankle holster. Adobe's ledger usually turns on a smaller set of victims, but the harm can run deep. Acrobat and Reader matter because PDF files still walk into inboxes wearing clean shoes and carrying dirty payloads. Cold Fusion matters because an internet-facing application server with an unpatched flaw is a backdoor with a welcome mat. Adobe Commerce, Experience Manager, Creative Cloud Desktop, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Media Encoder all belong in the searchlight when the bulletins land. Until the official advisories arrive, every count is marked TBD, and every TBD is a drawer in the morgue waiting for a name. The headliners. Since June 2026, CVEs are not public yet. The headliners tonight are not individual June case files. They are the classes of wounds most likely to matter when the sheet comes off. First on the slab is the network remote code execution bug. If tomorrow brings a Microsoft CVE with CVSS 9.0 or higher, attack vector network, low attack complexity, no privileges required, and no user interaction, that is not just a body, that is a fire in a crowded hotel. Products to watch include Windows TCP IP, Windows Remote Desktop Services, Windows DNS Server, Microsoft Message Queuing, Exchange Server, SharePoint Server, SQL Server, SQL Server, SQL Server, and IDing and Remote Access Service. An attacker who can send a crafted packet or request and gain code execution can turn one exposed host into a beachhead. The old case files tell us why. CVE 2020-07996, the SMBv3 compression vulnerability known as SMB Ghost, carried a CVSS score of 10.0 and affected Microsoft Server Message Block 3.1.1. It was network reachable, low complexity, and dangerous because successful exploitation could allow remote code execution. CVE 2019-07.08, Bluekeep, hit remote desktop services with a CVSS score of 9.8. It required no user interaction and no authentication on vulnerable systems. That kind of flaw is the corpse every defender remembers because wormable behavior turns patch delay into citywide contagion. Second on the table is the Enterprise Collaboration Server, RCE. If Exchange Server or SharePoint Server appears in tomorrow's critical list, do not wait for the ink to dry. Exchange has history written in blood. CVE 202.12685, part of the proxy login chain, was a server-side request forgery flaw in Microsoft Exchange Server with a CVSS score of 9.1. It was exploited in the wild before broad patching caught up. Attackers used it with other vulnerabilities to access mailboxes, drop web shells, and move through networks. SharePoint has its own autopsy drawer. Collaboration platforms hold documents, identity hooks, and trust relationships. That makes them prime real estate for burglars with patience. Third is the Office and Outlook line of cases. The attack vector may say local or network depending on the flaw, and user interaction may be required, but do not let that soften the verdict. A malicious attachment, a previewed message, a crafted document, or a template fetched from the web can be enough to start the bleeding. CVE 2023-2023-2030 with privilege vulnerability with CBSS 9.8 was exploited in the wild. It allowed a specially crafted message to trigger a connection to an attacker-controlled server and leak net NTLMv2 hashes, no need for the victim to open the email. That made it perfect for credential theft and relay attacks. If tomorrow's June bulletin includes Outlook preview pane exposure, Office RCE, or NTLM credential leakage, treat it like a loaded revolver found in a child's drawer. Fourth comes the privilege escalation wound, the one too many managers underestimate because it usually wears an important badge instead of critical. Local privilege escalation is how intruders become administrators after the first compromise. Windows kernel, Windows Common Log File System Driver, Windows Ancillary Function Driver for WinSock, DWM Core Library, Windows Installer, ALPC, Print Spooler, and graphics kernel components all deserve a bright lamp and a clean scalpel. CVE 2023-28252, a Windows Common Log File System Driver elevation of privilege flaw with CVSS 7.8, was exploited in the wild. CVE 202-2022-41073, another Windows Print Spooler elevation of privilege case, also showed how local flaws can complete an attack chain. The first bug gets the crook into the lobby. The privilege bug hands him the master key. Fifth is the Adobe endpoint and server file. Acrobat and Reader memory corruption bugs often receive critical ratings because successful exploitation can allow arbitrary code execution in the context of the current user. The attack usually needs a crafted PDF and user interaction, but phishing gives user interaction away by the truckload. Adobe Cold Fusion is different. When Cold Fusion is internet-facing, a critical flaw can mean remote code execution on a server that may have access to databases, internal services, and application secrets. The old lesson from CVE 2023-26360, an Adobe Cold Fusion improper access control vulnerability exploited in the wild, is simple. Adobe server bugs do not stay theoretical for long when the server is on the public street. 0-day, watch for June 2026. There are no confirmed Microsoft or Adobe 0 days yet because the advisories have not been published. That does not mean there are none. It means the coroner has not received the official cause of death. Tomorrow, every defender should look first for two fields in Microsoft's Security Update Guide. Exploited? Yes. Publicly disclosed? Yes. Either one changes the priority. Both together put the case under a red lamp. If a June CVE is marked actively exploited, patch it before arguing over its severity label. Many real-world 0 days are not grand remote code execution bugs. They are privilege escalations, security feature bypasses, smart screen bypasses, mark of the web bypasses, or kernel flaws used after phishing or browser compromise. The attacker does not need one perfect bullet. He needs a chain, and 0 days are often the link that keeps the chain quiet. The Triage. When the June files arrive, start with exposure and exploitation. Patch actively exploited 0 days first, then patch critical network remote code execution flaws on internet-facing systems. Exchange, SharePoint, RDP, DNS server, IS routing and remote access service, SQL server, message queuing, cold fusion, commerce, and experience manager should not linger in a change window if the flaw is reachable from the street. If the CVSS score is 9.0 or higher, attack complexity is low, authentication is not required, and user interaction is not required, that system moves to the front of the funeral line. Next, protect the keys to the kingdom. Domain controllers, Active Directory, Domain Services, Kerberos, LDAP, NTLM, Certificate Services, Windows DNS, and admin workstations deserve early treatment. Patch Office and Outlook quickly across high-risk users, especially finance, legal, human resources, help desk staff, and anyone with broad mailbox or document access. Adobe Acrobat and Reader should move fast on endpoints because PDFs remain common bait. Local privilege escalation bugs can follow right behind. They may not open the front door, but they let the intruder walk upstairs. Test in rings, but do not use testing as a velvet rope for delay. Pilot, verify, deploy, monitor. Sing. Auth. That is the report from the cold room on the eve of June 2026, Patch Tuesday. No forged CVEs, no invented scores, no phony toe tags, just the truth, waiting under fluorescent light. Tomorrow the names arrive, and when they do, read them like a confession. Patch the exposed, bury the 0 days, and keep one eye on the alley. This is Jack Cipher closing the case file, reminding you that the city survives 1 month at a time.